Hi, I'm Elspeth Jackson, the author of Rag Rugs, Pillows and More. I'm also the founder of Ragged Life. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to do the loopy style of rag rugging, so the slightly flatter version of rag rugging here. But rather than teaching it with the latch hook, which is my normal tool of choice, I'm going to be branching out a little bit and we're going to be learning how to do it with the spring tool. So I love this technique because you can create really quite pictorial, flat things in it, and it really keeps the definition of a piece using this loopy technique. I should add the caveat that I learnt with the latch hook, so this is the tool that I would always use if I was making a commission or playing around at home. However, in recent workshops, I've noticed more and more of my students have actually been taking much more of a preference to the rag rug spring tool for doing this technique. So I can't promise I won't be a little bit clunky, so bear with me, but I thought it was worth showing you guys that it can be done. So if anyone hasn't got on with the latch hook and wants to give it a go with the spring tool, it's a good option. So here I go. So the first step of loopy rag rugging is to cut long strips of fabric. And generally the longer you can cut your strips, the better. But the average width of strip that you're looking to create is roughly about 1.5 centimeters. If you're wondering what different fabrics you can use, you can also view my other video on what fabrics are best for rag rugging. However, the average width of strip you're looking to create is 1.5 centimeters. Generally, if you're using thicker fabrics, you tend to cut your strips slightly narrower as they'll be harder to pull through the hessian. But here are a few that I've prepared earlier. So you'll also need a bit of hemmed hessian. So this is a tiny little mat, so it's more of a doll's house rug, but it'll do the job of showing you exactly how it should be done. So first of all, I'm going to show you quickly how I would do it with the latch hook, just so you've got a comparison. So with the latch hook, it's almost like you're fishing. You work from the front of the hessian and you keep your latch hook open. You push through to the back where you've got your piece of fabric waiting. You grab on, the latch should close to trap the rag onto the hook. You pull through a single end through to the top. Then you generally put your first 3 loops all nice and close to each other. So you're pulling through to the top. Pulling through to the top, pulling through to the top. And just to show you the behind, once you've done your first 3, you can then begin to miss out a couple of holes between each loop and the next. So from the back, you can see that I'm just grabbing onto the strip, latching on and just pulling a nice loop up. And you try and keep them nice and consistent in height. You keep going until you have done as much rag rugging as you can stomach. Or, for example, your strip has finished, so if you were using a bit of a shorter strip than mine, then you pull your end through to the top, and you cut it to the same height as all your loops are at to disguise it. The thing which keeps this loopy rag rugging securely in the hessian is the hessian begins to tighten around your rag rugging and compress it in there. If things get pulled from the front, it actually pulls them tighter against the hessian. It's only from the back of the hessian that the rag rugging is vulnerable. But things done in this loopy technique can even stand up to the washing machine. So they are pretty sturdy. So onto the spring tool now. So with the spring tool, you use it in exactly the same way as the latch hook. So from the front of the hessian, you keep your spring tool closed and you push through to the underside. You then open up the end of the spring tool and you grab onto the end of the strip. You then pull it through to the top. You then go into the very next hole if you can. You open up the end of the spring tool, grab onto the strip, whoops, she says, and pull it through to the top. And you try and make sure that you keep those loops exactly the same height if you can. But you need to make sure that when you grab onto the strip on the underside, you're grabbing nice and close to the strip as it comes into the hessian. You're not grabbing too far up the strip. If you grab too far up the strip, like I'm showing here, when you pull through to the top, you accidentally end up leaving a large loop on the back. And those are very, very vulnerable to being pulled out. So if you notice anything like that, you just pull it out and just try again, and just try and grab a little bit closer up the strip. But what you're essentially doing is using the spring tool in the same way as the latch hook. And some people like the control of being able to open that kind of spring tool end and know that they're kind of very, very securely grabbing onto the strip. But in exactly the same way as we did with the latch hook, when you want to finish a strip, you grab onto that end and you pull it through to the top. And then you snip it to the same height as all your loops are at. And that is all there is to it. As I said, there's no real right or wrong. It doesn't matter which of these tools you get on better with. As I said, I'm a self-confessed latch hook lover, but I would say give them a go and see which one you come out best with. Thank you. I hope you found the tutorial useful.